You know that moment.
You're talking to her, nothing dramatic, nothing obvious.
Maybe you're standing near the kitchen at a party.
Maybe sitting across from her at a coffee shop.
Maybe just walking out of work while everybody else is distracted. And she's smiling.
She keeps the conversation going.
She asks you one more question when she could have easily let the moment end. She looks at you for half a second longer than normal.
Not enough to be undeniable, just enough to stay with you later.
And then you leave thinking, was that real? Am I reading too much into this? She's younger. No way. Maybe she's just friendly. Why do I always realize it too late? Here's the truth most men never hear. A younger woman usually doesn't make attraction louder around an older man. She makes it safer. And that changes everything. You're not clueless. You're not washed up. And you're definitely not imagining everything.
A lot of older men miss these signs not because they lack experience, but because they're looking for the wrong kind of signal. By the end of this video, you're going to understand the subtle signs a younger woman gives when she's genuinely interested, why those signs are easy to miss, and how to read them without becoming creepy, arrogant, or delusional.
Let's get into it. Most men believe attraction is obvious.
That if a younger woman likes you, she'll flirt hard, make it unmistakable, and basically hand you certainty so you don't have to risk misreading the moment.
But the real truth is almost the opposite.
When there's an age gap, attraction often becomes more careful, more layered, and more emotionally filtered because her nervous system is trying to answer two questions at the same time.
Am I drawn to him? And am I safe with him? That's the part most people miss. Because attraction is not just chemistry, it's chemistry plus safety. Chemistry plus emotional calibration.
Chemistry plus the feeling that this man is present enough not to misuse the moment. Most couples, and honestly most people in dating, think signals are mostly about boldness. But beneath the surface, people reveal interest through where they put their attention, how they regulate their energy around you, and whether they start letting you into the more real parts of themselves.
Attachment science tells us this clearly.
People move toward what feels emotionally safe long before they openly name what they want. So, if you're waiting for a neon sign, you'll miss the quieter signals that actually mean more.
Not louder flirting, not exaggerated compliments, not some movie scene confession, but small repeated moments of turning toward you.
And here's what changes everything. When a younger woman likes an older man, she often isn't testing whether he can impress her. She's testing whether he can hold the moment without forcing it. Whether he gets needy, whether he gets arrogant, whether he stays emotionally available without making her feel cornered. That's why these signs matter, because once you understand them, you stop guessing from ego and start reading what's real.
Number 1, she keeps creating one more moment. Here's the part no one talks about. The first sign is simple, but it's powerful. She keeps creating one more moment with you.
Most couples and most people in relationships or dating miss this pattern because they assume attraction announces itself through intensity. But a lot of genuine interest shows up through extension.
One more question, one more joke, one more reason to stay in the conversation 10 seconds longer than necessary. The deeper truth is that when someone likes you, their nervous system resists ending contact.
Not because they're consciously planning some strategy, but because being around you feels regulating, stimulating, or emotionally alive in a way they want more of. Especially with a younger woman and an older man, she may not want to be obvious too fast. So, instead of escalating the signal, she extends the moment. That's her way of staying near the connection without overexposing herself.
Disconnecting version, she says, "Okay, see you later." And the interaction naturally ends. Connecting version, she says, "Okay, see you later." Wait, did you ever end up going on that trip you mentioned? Same moment, different meaning.
Her mind may be quietly saying, "I'm not ready for this to end yet." And that thought matters more than some over-the-top flirt line ever could. And when you notice that, you stop chasing intensity and start recognizing presence. And that's the shift that turns a confusing interaction into something you can actually trust. Number 2, she remembers the little things you thought she forgot. And this is the one most couples never figure out.
Attraction is attention, real attention, not surface attention. Most people in relationships assume remembering details is just a personality trait.
They think, she's observant, or she's probably like that with everybody. But when someone repeatedly remembers the small, emotionally textured things you said, your favorite drink, the name of your sister, the stressful meeting you had Tuesday, the offhand comment you made about wanting to start running again, that usually means you're living in her mind after the conversation ends.
That's not random.
The emotional truth beneath the surface is that when someone feels drawn to you, their brain tags your details as important. Attachment forms through repeated moments of salience.
In plain English, you stand out. You linger. You become mentally sticky.
And with a younger woman, that can be especially telling because if she admires you, feels curious about you, or feels emotionally safe with you, she starts storing the details that make you feel real to her.
Not because she's polite. Not because she's good at conversation. Not because she's trying to impress everybody.
But because something about you matters to her, specifically.
Disconnecting version, how was your week? Connecting version, how did that conversation with your brother go? You seemed kind of heavy about it last time. That hits different. Because in that moment, something in you registers. She didn't just hear me. She kept me.
And something in her may be quietly saying, he's not just another guy in the room. That kind of attention softens the space between two people, and the walls start to come down before either of you has to force anything.
3. She gets playful, but watches your response closely. This is where it gets really interesting. A lot of men think flirting is always obvious.
Big smiles, big compliments, big signals. But one of the clearest signs a younger woman likes you is that she gets playful with you in a way that also feels slightly investigative. She teases you, challenges you a little, pokes at you just enough to see what kind of man you really are. Most couples miss this because they see teasing as trivial. But beneath the surface, playful energy is often a nervous system experiment. She's not just joking, she's checking your emotional steadiness. She wants to know, can you handle tension without getting defensive? Can you stay confident without becoming controlling? Can you laugh without performing? That matters more than men realize. Because to her, your response is data, real data, character data. Think of it like a bridge made of thin wooden planks. Every playful moment is one step onto that bridge. If you respond with insecurity, ego, or weird overconfidence, the bridge shakes. If you respond with grounded warmth, it steadies. Disconnecting version. She says, wow, you really do give serious old man advice sometimes. You respond, what's that supposed to mean? Connecting version. She says, wow, you really do give serious old man advice sometimes. You smile and say, only premium advice. I charge extra for the life-changing stuff. Now the energy breathes. Her inner experience might be, okay, he can hold his own without making this awkward. And that creates something rare. Attraction without pressure. That's when you stop feeling like a role she's testing and start feeling like a man she can actually relax around. For, she lets you see the version of her most people don't get. But here's what nobody explains. One of the strongest signs of real interest is not when she looks perfect around you. It's when she starts getting more real around you. Softer, less curated, more honest about what she thinks, what stresses her out, what she wants, what she's confused by, what she's still healing from. Most people in relationships think attraction is all about presentation. Looking good, sounding impressive, keeping things light. But emotional intimacy doesn't begin when someone performs better. It begins when they risk being seen more truthfully. That's the deeper truth. When she likes you, and especially when she senses emotional maturity in you, she may start lowering the social mask. Not all at once, just enough for you to notice that the conversation has moved beyond banter, beyond image, beyond whatever version of herself she gives the general public. Because her nervous system is starting to register, I might actually be safe being more real here. And man, that is not a small thing. Disconnecting version, you ask, how have you been?
She says, good, busy, same old stuff. And keeps it moving. Connecting version, you ask, how have you been? She pauses and says, honestly, a little off this week. I've just had a lot on my mind. That pause tells you everything. Not everything she feels, but everything you need to notice. Because what's moving through her may be, I don't want him to just see the polished version of me. And if you meet that moment with presence instead of performance, she feels understood instead of exposed. That's the shift that turns attraction from surface chemistry into actual connection. 5. She finds reasons to bring up age without shutting the door. Here's the part most men misread completely. If she brings up the age difference, that does not automatically mean rejection. Sometimes it means the exact opposite. Sometimes she's not closing the subject, she's circling it, feeling it out, seeing how you hold it. Most couples assume difficult topics only come up when something is wrong. But often, people bring up the very thing they're trying to emotionally process. Age gap, timing, perception, judgment, what other people might think. She's not just naming the obstacle, she's revealing the thing her mind is trying to make sense of. That's huge because attraction plus uncertainty often sounds like caution, not absence. Caution. If she says, you're a lot older than me, right? Most men go one of two bad directions. They either get weirdly self-deprecating and collapse the tension, or they get overly aggressive and try to bulldoze past it. Both kill safety. Not denial, not over-explaining, not trying to sell yourself, but calm, grounded acknowledgement. Disconnecting version. She says, you're older than me, right? You say, yeah, well, if that's a problem, then forget it. Connecting version. She says, you're older than me, right? You say, I know, and I also know the only thing that matters is whether this feels honest and respectful for both of us. That lands because her brain may quietly register, he's not defensive. He's not trying to trap the moment. He can handle reality. And that steadiness is often what makes her lean in rather than pull away. That's when the age gap stops feeling like the whole story and starts becoming just one part of a much more real one. 6. She looks for emotional steadiness, not just confidence. And here's what changes everything. A lot of older men think what attracts a younger woman is dominance, certainty, status, or experience alone. And yes, maturity can be attractive, but not when it comes wrapped in emotional unavailability. Not when it feels cold. Not when it feels like a man who knows how to lead a room, but has no idea how to stay present with another person. Most couples get this wrong because they confuse confidence with safety. But confidence without warmth can feel intimidating. Confidence without attunement can feel lonely. Real attraction deepens when she feels your steadiness and your humanity at the same time. This is where attachment really comes in. A younger woman who likes you may start watching how you handle disappointment, pauses, mixed signals, or emotionally loaded moments. Not because she wants perfection, but because she wants to know whether your nervous system makes room for hers. Your calm matters. Your patience matters. Your ability to not rush the moment matters. This isn't a communication hack. This is just what emotionally mature men do. Disconnecting version. She takes a little longer to reply. You send, guess you lost interest. Connecting version. She takes a little longer to reply. You send, hope your day's going smoothly. No rush. Do you feel the difference? One response says, manage my insecurity. The other says, I can hold myself. And somewhere inside her, the unspoken thought becomes, he feels safe. He doesn't make me pay for having a life. That's the kind of energy that makes a woman stop bracing and start opening. That's when you stop being just impressive and start becoming someone she could actually trust with her inner world. 7. She starts inviting you into her real life, not just the fun parts. This is the sign most men realize too late. When a younger woman likes you, she doesn't just want good conversation. She starts making space for you inside her actual life. Not just the polished moments. Not just the exciting moments. The real moments. The boring Tuesday moments. The slightly messy moments. The human moments. Most people in relationships think attraction lives in novelty.
The dates, the banter, the spark. But deeper bonding happens when someone starts weaving you into their regular world.
That is how connection becomes real. It stops being an event and starts becoming a place. That's the deeper emotional truth. When she begins inviting you into routines, opinions, decisions, or parts of her day that are not inherently sexy, what she's really saying is, I can imagine you in the fabric of my life. And that matters because long-term connection is not built in the fireworks. It's built in the ordinary. Intimacy isn't a grand gesture.
It's more like scar tissue in reverse, formed slowly through 100 small moments of repair, presence, and turning toward each other.
Disconnecting version.
She only talks to you when she's bored, tipsy, or wants attention.
Connecting version.
She sends, I'm running errands and for some reason I thought of what you said about that bookstore.
Have you been lately?
Or, I've got a stressful week coming up.
Can I ask your take on something? That is not casual. That is inclusion.
And what may be moving through her is, I want to know what it feels like to have him closer to my real life. Not as an idea, as an actual presence. That's the shift that turns attraction from a passing vibe into the beginning of something you can build on purpose.
So, let's bring this all the way home. If you've missed these signs before, that doesn't mean you were blind. It usually means you were taught to look for the loudest signal instead of the truest one.
And the truest ones are almost always quieter, more human, more unspoken, less about performance, more about presence.
This isn't about assuming every younger woman likes you. It's not about ego. It's not about fantasy.
It's about becoming the kind of man who can read connection with clarity, respond with respect, and never force what hasn't been freely given.
That's maturity. And honestly, bro, that's what makes you attractive in the first place.
When you internalize this, you stop reacting from insecurity and start responding from steadiness.
You stop chasing validation and start recognizing real interest for what it is. And when you do that, people feel the difference. She feels the difference before you even say much at all. These aren't tips for playing a role.
They're signs that help you show up as a real man, emotionally available, grounded, clear, respectful.
And that changes the entire energy between two people. Real attraction doesn't get missed because the signs weren't there.
It gets missed when you're looking for noise instead of noticing who keeps quietly turning toward you.